Hey guys, so in this video I would like to share with you some of the Psychubes that affects Isolde's damage and which Psycube that you should go for. For your information, currently I have Knock on the Door, which is the Psycube designed for Isolde at A2. So I was wondering if I should A5 it or should I be using some of the other Psycube that I have that is already A5 so I don't waste resource. So in this video I did some calculation and comparison for different Psycube, and depending on how you want to use Isolde, then certain Psycube will be better for her. So first of all, disclaimer is that the calculation done to calculate the damage that Isolde does based on her Psycube is entirely based on simulation, which means the number of ultimate she does, the incantation that she used, and the moxie that she gained is all simulated. So different fight definitely will have slightly different outcome, but I do believe that the damage is good enough to be compared for different Psycubes. And here I just want to specify it again, Isolde can function for almost any team that you have, and not just to cover the role of a support unit, but she deals a lot of damage as well. So you want her to be a sub-DPS, even if you want her to be your main carry, you can. But the style of playing is slightly different, so I did include some of the recommendation as well as the Psycube that you can use. Because if you are using her as sub DPS or as support, you may not want to invest onto Knock on the Door up to A5. So what are the other options available for her, and still she can cover the role as a sub DPS very well and as a support. Alright? As a carry or sub DPS, obviously we want damage. We want as much damage as possible. So the analysis that I conducted revolved around these four Psycubes: Knock on the Door, Blasphemer of Night, Balance Please, and Brave New World. So some of the justification why I choose this for: obviously Knock on the Door is designed for Isolde, Blasphemer of Night revolve around incantation might, which is all that Isolde does. She doesn't actually attack with her ultimate. Her ultimate doesn't do damage, but her ultimate trigger intermezzo, which is an incantation and is boosted by incantation might. So Blasphemer of Night is actually really good for Isolde as well. Balance Please, because she's a spirit unit and hence she can take advantage of the stat boost from Balance Please, but Balance Please has ultimate might, so she cannot miss out on that. But still, relatively, Balance Please can be considered as a okayish Psycube for her. Brave New World is rather interesting because after you use your ultimate, you gain 40% incantation might, and that's what Isolde does, right? After she used her ultimate, instantly she triggered intermezzo, which is an incantation, and you instantly get 40% incantation might. So it is rather suitable for Isolde. It's just that she could not tap into the ultimate might. So similar to Balance Please, there's part of the Psycube's stats that she cannot utilize. But anyway, for this entire calculation, I assume that it is a 9-round battle, and Isolde requires 2 rounds to trigger Interlude and another 2 rounds to trigger Finale. So out of the entire 9 rounds, the number of ulti that she are able to cast is 2, and after 2 rounds of Prelude, so once she start getting, or basically once she's in Interlude, she start using an intermezzo. So I consider intermezzo here to be casted up to 7 times in a 9-round battle. And in order to generate her ulti, I consider that she uses 6 twirling melody, the attack that inflict burn stacks. So 2 during Prelude and 2 during Interlude, and 2 during finale, so that's actually 6 Moxie. So for the other 4 Moxie, I consider that she uses 2 debuff and 1 of it is merge, because when you merge you get 2 Moxie, so 2 Moxie from merging and 2 Moxie from using 2 debuffs, so a total of 10 Moxie, which is 2 ultimates. And one more thing is that Knock on the Door has crit chance up to 16%, and most of the time it's quite difficult to actually consider crit chance in terms of damage calculation, because let's say if I just were to use her ultimate and I calculate the max damage that she can deal, then crit chance won't really be reflected, because all the other Psychube I would consider that the highest damage is when she crits, and when I compare that, you won't see the advantage of Knock on the Door as much. So instead, what I did is that I normalized the damage. So for example, if she is to deal 5k damage non-crit and 10k damage crit, so I normalize it assuming that 40% crit chance, so means 40% of the time she won't be critting, 60% of the time she won't be critting, and 40% of the time she will be crit. So I kind of like factored that number in, and instead of doing 5,000 or 10,000, she's doing 7,000. As for her stats, my Isolde is level 60, R10. So I extracted that stats information and I put it into the damage calculator. So I do take into account power burst and rousing morale and her debuff, but not other stats boosts from other units. So if Tooth Fairy is in the, I'm not considering if Tooth Fairy is in the party or if Shemaine is in the party, that give her more like, you know, damage taken up, debuff by the enemy, or increased crit chance, crit damage. So I do not consider that. I just consider whatever that her kit can provide for herself. Okay, so you can see from the video, these are the stats that I used. Attack 1338, crit rate 48%, crit damage 190%, damage bonus 16%, penetration rate 0, damage boost due to power burst and arousing morale, so 75%, incantation might, so here incantation might 75%, because I consider that mostly when she used her ultimate, she would at least gain a few stack that is excess, so I just assume that it's 5 stack excess, and that's 75% incantation might. Here, attack percentage for her ultimate intermezzo is 350%. If you have P1, then it's 440%. If you have P3, then it's 530%. If you have P5, then it's 620%. So depending on your level of portrait, then she deal even more damage. So here I assume that the enemy we fight is a high tier endgame enemy with 700 defense, and assuming 15% defense down from her debuff. Do take note that this is the example that I used to calculate her ultimate. For her normal intermezzo, there is no arousing morale, because she already used it when she used her ultimate intermezzo. And for her normal twirling melody, there's also no power burst, because she used that when she cast intermezzo at the beginning of the round. So I do take that into consideration. This is the damage chart against one enemy. So we can see here, if we consider just the highest damage from her ulti, so not the overall damage for the entire 9 rounds. So the first column here, it shows that actually if we use Blasphemer of Night, we deal a higher damage compared if we use Knock on the Door, even at A5. So that's because the total incantation might and the damage boost from Blasphemer of Night is actually higher. So yeah, so we get 30,000 and Knock on the Door is only 29,000. But when we consider the overall damage from intermezzo, and considering crit, non-crit, twirling melody and everything, Knock on the Door is still a better option. So compared to when she's not equipped with any Psychube, it's increased by 109%, and Blasphemer on Night is only 94%, both at A5. And at A1, it is rather low, knock on the door is actually not as effective. So even Blasphemer of Night is at 81%. Alright, so here means that if you are going to use Isolde mainly as a main DPS, you should really consider knock on the door. But if you're going to use her just as a sub DPS, you still have like other unit like Jew or Spatodia that you will be using as your main DPS, and she's more of a sub DPS. Blasphemer of Night is already good enough. And not only that, you can even consider BNW, Brave New World, because Brave New World at A5, just when she used her ulti, intermezzo is also 30,000, just 100 damage lesser than Blasphemer of Night. Now, what about against multiple enemy? Isolde's attack is all AoE, right? So here I multiplied intermezzo by 3, assuming that it hits 3 enemies. And for Twirling Melody, it's just multiplied by 2 because it just hit 2 enemies, right? So overall, it just shows the same increase in terms of, I mean, when we compare the damage, it is the same. Knock on the door is still the highest at 108% compared to no Psychube at all. And Blasphemer of Night is at 94%, alright? So the best slot Psychube is still Knock on the door. Alright, so in terms of recommendation for her rotation as a carry, so as a carry, this is when that you should consider A5 knock on the door. Just use her like how you would use any carry. Use her incantation often, merge the incantation, use it as much as you can, try to trigger her ultimate every 2 to 3 turns, because by doing so as well, you are keeping up the burn stack rather. You know, if Isolde is going to act frequently, then the burn stack will be high. So her ultimate is guaranteed to be hitting really, really hard. And do consider to build up Ulu if you're going to use her as a main carry, because Ulu is actually a very good support for Isolde. You know, last time when they were talking about Spatodia, I never really think that Ulu is required for Spatodia, because at the end of the day, even after we achieve 15 stacks of burn, it's just 40% additional crit damage, and that is not like an extremely huge advantage. But now Ulu with Isolde can give her so much excess burn stack when she uses ulti and makes her ulti hit like a truck, right? So really do consider Ulu for this. For sub DPS, alright, here is a quite specific way to use it, and I don't think a lot of people actually do consider it, is that, for example, you might come into a junction where you might be thinking, alright, now I have Isolde's ultimate charge, and I have my main DPS, let's assume that it's Melania's ultimate charge as well. Which one should I use first? Because if I use Melania's ultimate first, I can dump all the pre-ignition stack so that Isolde can deal high damage with her ultimate. But if I do so, Melania will not be able to get the rousing morale, which is 50% damage boost from Isolde. Right? So you will be in this form of dilemma, like which one should you use first. So instead, I would suggest that try to do your rotation in a way that Isolde will always get her ultimate earlier, 1 round earlier than Melania. And during that round, you can use one of Melania's attack to generate an additional Moxie so that she gets her ultimate next round. At the same time, you are dumping all of the pre-ignition stacks. So now your other units attacking the enemy, then Melania attacks as well. And finally, Isolde is using her ultimate. So in this case, you guarantee that the ultimate will be hitting really, really hard. And then she will provide Melania with rousing morale. And the next round, Melania will be getting power burst as well. So as long as Melania is not doing some random incantation, then she can preserve this 75% damage boost, and she uses her ultimate and she will hit really hard as well. So in this case, both Isolde and Melania will be doing huge damage, right? So I would recommend that if you were to use Isolde as a sub DPS, which I believe that is the main role actually, everyone should be using her that way, you can guarantee that a lot of your unit will be hitting really hard. And in this setup is that even if you are using Brave New World, just Brave New World is actually would be enough because the damage is actually from the ultimate. So Blasphemer of Night, Brave New World, Balance Please, Knock on the Door, they are actually okay option for her if you use her as a sub DPS. But if you use her as a main carry, I would really recommend Knock on the Door and max it out. And lastly here, if you use Isolde as a support, probably, you know, sometimes there are fights that you need so much healing or the enemy just hits really hard and you just need as much sustain as possible. You know, with the right Psychube, even Isolde can function very well as a support unit. So here I show that Inquisitive Deer that allows Isolde to heal the unit with the lowest HP when she casts a debuff. And another option here is her second life that allows her to heal the party every time Isolde uses her ultimate. Alright, so this is all for the video. You know, if some of you have not pulled Isolde yet, I will really recommend that you should pull for Isolde. She's literally crazy, her kit is crazy, her personality is crazy, she's just crazy. So yeah. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you like me breaking down a unit's kit like this with all the calculation, please do let me know in the comment section below. And please do like and subscribe. Thank you.